Hey, what's up guys? Moki F1 here, and today I'm doing my final driver ranking for the 2024 F1 season. So let's just hop right into this. Everyone knows how tier list works. I don't need to explain it. Alex Albon, I've mentioned it before. He's really tough to rank. It's hard to know exactly where he stands. In terms of like overall skill and all pace wise and everything, it's really hard to judge because he had Logan Sargent, Nicholas Latifi, and a rookie Franco Colapinto as his teammates. So it's like it's almost impossible to rank the guy. Just going off of how he drives and whatnot, I would say he's a B tier driver. He makes a significant amount of mistakes. Some of them big, some of them small. But his quality pace tends to be good. He gets moves done when he has the car underneath him. He gets moves done. But again, on that note, like the Williams has been one of the worst cars consistently since he's been at this team. So again, it's really hard to judge. Is it Albon? Is it the car? Are his teammates just terrible? I really just don't know. And then Franco coming in and really taking it to him in the first few races he was at that team. Who knows? It's super hard to rank him, but easier to rank I think is Alonso. I'll still say Alonso is an S tier driver. Obviously Aston had really bad mid-season slump, but I still think he extracts everything he can in quali. He keeps things extremely clean on race day, but still gets plenty of moves done, still defends very well, still attacks very well, and it's all super neat and tidy and clean as well. That's the big thing for me, is Alonso keeps it clean. Even if he's aggressive, if he's aggressively defending, if he's aggressively attacking, doesn't matter really. He always just seems to keep it clean somehow, and his pace is obviously great. Again, it's another sort of Albon situation where it's like, well, his teammate's Lance Stroll, so but we know Lance is a fast driver, and Alonso's beating him in quali very consistently. So I don't know. I'll say if he has a top 3 car, he can still easily win a race, I think. Honestly, he doesn't seem to be slowing down whatsoever, which is insane. And I mean, yeah, some of his best performances came towards the end of the season where he had a broken shoulder. So he's just nuts, I guess. Ollie Behrman, everyone knows this kid has a lot to learn. Obviously, I think Brazil really showed that. Subbing in on a super rainy day like that is unfortunate for him, because that's what people are going to remember the most. Performance at Ferrari, performance at Haas and Baku. I mean, I think the guy's really solid. Again, plenty to learn, but his pace I think is really solid, and he was a little over aggressive at Brazil. But I think rookies that show a lot of aggression, that's a good sign. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing more of Behrman, and I think his pace is seriously like ridiculously good. So yeah, I think he's a good B tier driver, but obviously I don't have too many races to go off of, so yeah, I'll just put him below Albon here. So let's move on to Bottas. It just seemed like he didn't really have, obviously he didn't have a car. The car was terrible, but it didn't really seem like he had a lot of drive this season, really. That's a big thing for me. It just seemed like he just didn't really care this season, which, to be fair, with a car this bad, you can't really blame him. But at the same time, like he kind of qualied low and then just stayed there. Very few times he really went for any sort of aggression, attacking, defending. It didn't really seem like he wanted to bother with that. He just wanted to get each race done, fulfill the contract, and move on. Because if you didn't know, he was actually expecting Fred Vasseur to be at this team for the entirety of his career at that team, right? So I think when Fred left, yeah, he just kind of stopped caring, because it wasn't what he signed up for, essentially. So Franco's hard to rank because just the first few races were just so nice, man, but then he just had crash after crash after crash after that, and yeah, it's sad. It's really hard to rank him. I'll say better than Bottas, though, simply because of how he came out of the gate flying. I really think he showed a lot of promise, but he really dealt with the pressure poorly. And, again, we talk about the Williams car. It probably is widely accepted to be the hardest car to drive on the grid. So being a rookie in that car, especially in horrible conditions such as Brazil, yeah, it's understandable that he struggled a lot. But, at the end of the day, if you can't handle the pressure, you're not going to be a high-tier driver, period, end of story. So let's go Danny Rick. It's hard to say for sure, because it's being in the Red Bull family, it's so turbulent. You never know when you should drive at the fullest or not. But it seemed like Bro could really do stuff on sprints. He's really good at sprints. That's good for him. But yeah, when it came to when it came to quali, his qualities were absolutely terrible, and then his races were okay, but just not the same driver he was whatsoever. So yeah, I think he's deservedly down in C, but he had his moments here and there. So yeah, just like Franco, but maybe not not quite as turbulent as Franco's time. Jack Doohan, we only have one race from the guy, and he's a rookie, like rookie with a capital R, but I think overall he was solid. I won't put him above Bottas. I think that's unfair, but he showed a lot of promise. I'm looking forward to more of Jack Doohan. Obviously, he was way off the pace, but everyone knows Ocon's car was, I don't know why I pronounced his name so wrong. Everyone knows Ocon's car was slower, so not surprising that he was so low on the grid, being a rookie in one of the slower cars on the grid. But speaking of that Alpine car, Mr. Pierre Gasly really coming through for the team. And more towards the second half of the season, for sure. So you could say that's a bit of a downside, that like when the car was bad, he really wasn't extracting anything from it. But to be fair, like same deal with Alonso. Like if the car's bad enough, no driver can really like scrape any points or anything from it if the car's bad enough. And it really seemed like that Alpine car was bad enough. And as soon as the car started getting better, Pierre was pulling out these insane quality results and doing decent races as well. I will say, like, his racecraft is maybe not the best on the grid I've seen, but in terms of just like pure quality pace is just ridiculous from Pierre. So yeah, I think he's definitely worthy of an A. Another A-tier driver for me was Lewis Hamilton, and really the only reason he's an A is just because his quality pace is terrible. Just all season, all the ground effect tenure at Mercedes, just really poor quality. That's literally it, because every single time the Mercedes car has been strong, Lewis Hamilton's in contention for the win. You know, it's just, yeah, it just goes without saying, if this guy has the fastest car again, he's just going to dominate. Well, like, I guess that kind of goes without saying, but for example, Lando Norris had the fastest car and he didn't. So that's my point. You know, in terms of just like on race day, Hamilton is an S-tier driver, but you got to put the whole weekend together, and Hamilton didn't really do that this season or the last few seasons, or couple seasons, sorry. Hulkenberg, I think, gets a little overrated. I'm not going to leave him there, don't worry. He gets a little overrated. I understand why people rate him so highly, but I just don't quite see it. He makes so many like silly little mistakes, and there's a little bit of inconsistency in terms of his quality pace. I think he's a really solid driver, but I think people overrate him a little bit. I'm very much looking forward to seeing what he can do at Sauber. Hopefully Sauber continues upgrading their car, so you know we can actually have an actual 10-team grid next season. Yeah, I just think he's a little too inconsistent to really be like an S. Some people are putting him in S tier. Disagree there. I think he's a little too inconsistent and makes enough mistakes to where, yeah, I think low A. I might move him down to B. We'll see how that fills out. Liam Lawson, a little bit of bias because he's definitely my kind of driver. I appreciate all the aggression and stuff. Aggression on the radio and on track. I definitely appreciate all that, so a little bit of bias, but I think his pace was okay. I love seeing the aggression, you guys know that. And he is very aggressive, but he did seem like he was trying to keep it clean. He's not Alonso levels of keeping aggression clean, but yeah, I think B, solid B for him. Decent driver. I'm looking forward to more of Liam if he does end up getting a full-time seat, which I think he deserves. I think he showed he deserves at least one season. Come on. All right, now Charles. It's tough because he does have his It's tough because he does have his bad weekends. But I'll say he'll be the lowest S-tier driver, but I do think he's an S-tier driver. He definitely has his weekends where he's not feeling great, and that reflects in his normally insane quality pace. His quality pace will just fall off for some reason, and then like in terms of like on race day, he still makes mistakes here and there. But in terms of like the crashy Charles Leclerc, I think that's mostly over with at this point. So I think now he's basically S tier. It's really close though. Logan Sargent, opposite of S tier. Yeah, I think just D tier for him, unfortunately. He wasn't comfortable in the car whatsoever. I mean, obviously because he kept crashing it, but he wasn't comfortable in the car. He couldn't really get any good moves done. He couldn't defend, save his life. To be fair, again, one of the worst cars on the grid for a majority of the season. So, yeah. But just super consistently just destroyed by Alex Albon. So, yeah, at least Franco took it to Albon in the first few races, right? And then when Franco wasn't crashing, he was like relatively close to Albon in a slower car. Again, that's another Ocon and Gasly situation where it's like you have to, like, clearly one of the cars is faster than the other, and that was definitely the case with the Williams cars. So K-Mag, definitely, again, I like Liam Lawson, so I like K-Mag. So a bit of bias there. The only reason he's not next to Nico right now, because I think his last few races were just nuts, right? Ever since he came back from Brazil, from not being at Brazil. Ever since he came back, he's just been on fire, really showing his stuff. So I think K-Mag at his best is definitely an A-tier driver, but you gotta remember the entire rest of the season where he really wasn't really performing all that well. So I think I'll put him in B there. If he performed like the last few weekends, every single weekend, easy A tier. I think he shows so much promise. He is a little bit too aggressive. He doesn't keep things super clean. But yeah, I think on the whole, still just also raw pace is really good from this guy. So I think he's worthy of a B. Now Lando, I do think is A, but really high A. It's just the only thing is like Leclerc makes his mistakes, and he has off race weekends, but Lando made big mistakes that cost him the championship. So I think that's a little bit more impactful than like making a few mistakes here and there, right? So I think next season Lando's going to be kind of crazy. Hopefully the McLaren car is still competitive, so we can see Oscar and Lando really take it to every other team on the grid. So I think like when he's comfortable, when he doesn't feel like he's under pressure, Lando is an easy S tier driver. He can easily just control an entire race weekend. But the thing is, he really proved he couldn't deal with the pressure very well. Right now he couldn't. Not to say he never will. I think that's one thing that got blown out of proportion. People were talking like he's never going to be able to handle the pressure. I don't think that's true at all. I think he's shown a lot of promise in these last few races in terms of like moving on from losing the championship and sort of just knuckling down and really acing that constructors for the team as well was really great to see. So I think next season he'll be an S tier driver, but this season he was an A tier. Esteban Ocon, it really seemed like he just didn't want to be there. I know putting him, maybe that's mean, putting him below doing, but I don't know. Would Ocon have even done better than doing in that race? I don't know. Again, as I mentioned, he was in the slower of the two Alpine cars. It's just clear as day that the two cars were, one car was faster than the other, which is totally fair considering not only is Pierre not leaving the team next season, Pierre proved he was the better and more complete and, most importantly, faster driver. So, just on the whole, though, it seemed like Ocon didn't really want to be there. It was another Bottas situation, I think, where like he just wants to like get the races done, fulfill a contract, and move on from the team. But I think Bottas gets a little bit ahead of him simply because Bottas just didn't. Other than the horrible lockup at Abu Dhabi that ruined Kevin Magnussen's race, other than that, I think he proved that, sorry about that, my cat came in. If the car was underneath Bottas the entire time, he would have performed a lot better. But I think Ocon, generally speaking, if he had Pierre's car, he simply would not perform as well as Pierre. Period, end of story. I think that's my main thing with him. So, Perez, it's really hard not to put him in D. This is really harsh, obviously, but you look at performances like Mexico, you look at incidents like Monaco, and it's just like, dude, pretty unacceptable. Like his Q1 exit as well. Q1 exit. Exits, plural. So many things that just should not have happened this season. And it's just, like Max is wiping the floor with everybody, and Perez is just like P20. That was an over-exaggeration, sorry. But you guys, you're watching F1. You know that the performances were pretty much unacceptable, and like he had a contract extension, but now they're looking to maybe, not confirmed, but maybe take him out of that seat, just force him out of the seat, buy it out, whatever. Just get him out of the seat, get someone else in there. That's how like unacceptable it was. But we'll see if he really does lose the seat. I mean, he's got so many connections and sponsorships, and only Mexican driver on the grid, right? So yeah, a lot of reasons to keep him. His actual on-track performance, not one of them. So Oscar, we love Oscar here. But I do think he is prone to making pretty big mistakes here and there. He obviously has a cool head, but he makes his mistakes. Think about like Mexico. A few of the quality sessions actually this season he's made mistakes at that really hurt the team's potential for the drivers' championship. If you watch my race review, I don't put the Abu Dhabi incident on him really at all. He could have given Max more space though, but it's just like little things here and there that really hurt the good old 1-2 McLaren, 1-2 McLaren, 1-2 McLaren. It could have been every single race that we saw 1-2 McLaren, but it seemed like Oscar's pace, as well as his being a little bit prone to making mistakes here and there, that really cost him. And his recovery drives as well, I don't think have been great either. Again, a little bit of recency bias there because of Abu Dhabi, but yeah, it seems like his recovery drives aren't that great. Even when he's in the fastest car. You also think about like Spa as well. Think about Belgium when you think about like recovery drives. So George Russell is pretty... Yeah, I'll put him above Hamilton, I think, at this point. Obviously, his quality performances just wiped the floor with Hamilton. At the end of the day, I think Hamilton is better on race day, but George Russell, just out-qualified him. Jeez, did Hamilton ever out-qualify him? I think it was maybe 2 or 3 times he did this season, out of, 20 races, so yeah, not great. I think he's just George has done nothing but improve in my eyes. I think he's learned so much from Lewis Hamilton to the point now where I think he's overall a little more complete because Lewis just was not good in the quality sessions whatsoever. So I think he's a little bit more of a complete driver. He doesn't just rely on like going nuts on the race day like Hamilton does. So yeah, I think solid. I know there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of reasons right now to maybe not like George so much, but I do think he's really grown a lot as a driver. So I think splitting them, I'll put Carlos Sainz here. It's just, he just has a consistency of just simply being slower than Leclerc. I think the thing is he defends really well, but I notice he really doesn't attack very much. And obviously if Ferrari has the fastest car, he can potentially be faster than Leclerc, but the thing is, it's mostly just Leclerc who's going to be the faster driver. And you could say also, Charles gets preferential treatment as well. In the team, obviously because he's going to be there next season, whereas Carlos was not. So you could also argue that point as well. But again, super solid. I mean, look how high up he is. He's a super solid driver. But I do think Charles is just clearly better. I would just say consistently not as good is my main thing. So Lance Stroll, it hurts not putting him in D. Nobody likes this guy very much, but I'll put him I'll put him below. Well, nah, he was better than Ocon, I would say, because he has some pace. He's not as fast as Alonso, obviously. He's not as good on the race day as Alonso, obviously, but he tries. He makes passes here and there. He defends okay, so yeah, I'll put him there, I guess. It's just hard to rate him when your teammate's Fernando Alonso, who's consistently doing everything perfectly. It makes it hard to judge you, right? So Yuki, I think, is probably an A-tier driver. I'll put him above Hülkenberg here. Yuki, super duper fast, fairly aggressive as well, but not overly aggressive, and not a lot of crashing going on, so that's good to see. He's not really the kind of guy who causes incidents, but he does try and attack, so that's really good to see. He's just a very fast driver who is relatively aggressive, and hopefully the Racing Bulls car will be faster next season because he definitely deserves it. If not, the full-on Red Bull seat, which I think he should get. So yeah, I think that's a good spot for him. He makes less mistakes than Hülkenberg, I would say, but he does still make his mistakes, so I think I'll put him there. So Verstappen, clearly the best driver, obviously. Insane quality pace, ridiculously good tire management, a little too aggressive on attacking, yeah, but in terms of defending, he's amazing at defending as well, so yeah, pretty obvious, number one driver on the grid. He won the championship for a reason when he didn't have the fastest car for the most of the season, so yeah, I think that's definitely fair. So Zhou, I'll put Zhou there. That seems a little high. I can agree that that's maybe a little high, but I just think he seemed a a little more consistent than Bottas. I know Bottas was technically faster. Obviously, Zhou won because he got the points, right? But Bottas was generally faster than him, but he seemed to make less mistakes than Bottas. It seemed like once he got the car under him, he was a little bit faster than Bottas overall, and was definitely more in the mix. You know, he seemed like he was trying to attack and defend a little bit more once he got the car under him. So, yeah, I'll say solid, rock solid from performance from him. It's just hard to say for sure because the car is so bad, right? For most of the season, the car was so bad. Yeah, it's a shame to see him go, but I think that's probably the main reason he's so high is just because I'm sad that he's gone now. As soon as the car got good, oh, yep, you're out. You're out now. But yeah, I think that's it. I think that's my tier list. What do you guys think? Do you love it? Do you hate it? What would you guys change? And again, the template is in the description. So thank you guys for watching.